The Playbook for Black Sovereignty, Part 4, Infrastructure and Self-Sufficiency, Building the Physical Foundation for Black Sovereignty. You cannot be free if someone else controls your access to food, water, housing, energy, and technology. While economic sovereignty gives us financial control and media sovereignty protects our narratives, physical infrastructure ensures that black communities are self-sustaining and immune to external control. Currently, black communities remain dependent on external systems for food, energy, housing, and technology, making them vulnerable to economic exploitation through high rent and predatory utility pricing, forced displacement from gentrification and eminent domain, and government control via food, energy, and public utilities. Moreover, supply chain disruptions lead to food deserts, financial crises, and engineered shortages. To truly be sovereign, black people must control the physical infrastructure that sustains life. This section outlines step-by-step strategies to develop self-sufficient black communities that can function independently from the systems designed to exploit us. Systemic dependence tactics used against black people. Food deserts. Black communities are often denied access to fresh, affordable food, making them reliant on unhealthy processed foods that fuel disease and medical exploitation. Gentrification and displacement. Black neighborhoods are systematically targeted for forced displacement, making it impossible to build generational wealth through home ownership. Utility and energy control. Black households face higher energy costs and lower infrastructure investment, leaving them vulnerable to blackouts, rate hikes, and dependency. Transportation disparities. Many black communities lack efficient public transportation, limiting access to jobs, healthcare, and opportunities. Digital redlining. Black communities have slower internet speeds and higher costs, restricting access to digital wealth-building tools. The goal of black infrastructure development is to eliminate these vulnerabilities by creating independent, self-sustaining systems. To create permanent sovereignty, black communities must control 5 key areas: food security and agriculture, growing our own food and controlling distribution; real estate and housing, owning land, buildings and community spaces; energy and utilities, developing independent power grids and water systems; transportation and logistics, controlling the movement of goods and people; technology and digital infrastructure, securing independent internet servers and communication networks. Each of these pillars must be developed strategically and collectively, ensuring long-term stability and independence. Step 1. Black-owned food and agriculture systems. Develop urban and rural black-owned farms to control food production. Create cooperative grocery stores that stock black-grown produce and goods. Train black families in home gardening and hydroponics for household food security. Establish community food reserves to prevent reliance on corporate food chains. Invest in farmland ownership to ensure long-term food production control. Goal: every black community should have independent food supply chains to eliminate food insecurity. Step 2. Black-owned housing and land development. Buy property collectively through land trusts to prevent gentrification. Develop cooperative housing models that offer low-cost ownership opportunities. Establish independent black real estate investment groups to acquire land. Build eco-friendly off-grid housing developments to reduce dependence on external utilities. Use container homes and modular construction to create cost-effective black-owned communities. Goal: black families and businesses should own the land they operate from, eliminating rent dependency. Step 3. Independent energy and utility infrastructure. Develop community solar and wind energy farms to power black neighborhoods. Establish black-owned water filtration systems to provide clean, affordable water. Create decentralized energy grids so black communities are not dependent on major utility companies. Train black youth in renewable energy technology to create jobs in sustainable energy. Develop independent waste management and recycling programs to keep wealth circulating within the community. Goal black communities should produce their own power and control their water supply to eliminate corporate and government dependency. Step 4. Black-owned transportation and logistics. Develop black-owned trucking, shipping and delivery companies to control goods movement. Create black ride-sharing platforms that keep wealth circulating. Establish community transportation systems like shuttle services and bike programs to ensure mobility. Develop black-owned manufacturing and distribution centers to reduce reliance on corporate supply chains. The goal is for black businesses and families to have transportation independence so they can access goods and services without external control. Step 5. Black-controlled technology and digital infrastructure. Create black-owned internet service providers to ensure secure digital access. Develop decentralized black-owned cloud storage and data centers. Establish community-run servers for secure private communication. Train black youth in cybersecurity, software development and AI research to dominate the future tech economy. The goal is that black people must control the digital spaces they operate in, ensuring secure and censorship-free communication. Throughout history, black people have successfully built independent infrastructure, only to see it attacked or dismantled. Studying these cases reveals critical lessons. Mound Bayou, Mississippi, a fully self-sufficient black town founded by former slaves. It developed black-owned schools, hospitals and businesses, thriving for decades as an independent black economy. However, federal policies and economic sabotage weakened the town. The lack of expansion and connectivity to other black towns limited its sustainability. The lesson learned here is that future black towns must be interconnected and have economic defense strategies. Rosewood, Florida. Rosewood was a wealthy black town built through black-owned businesses with its own schools, churches and economic ecosystem. But then, white mobs, backed by the government, destroyed the town in a violent massacre. Survivors were forced to flee, losing generational wealth. The lesson learned is that future black communities must have self-defense strategies and decentralized wealth storage to prevent economic destruction. Final thought. Physical sovereignty is the key to permanent freedom. You cannot be free if you do not control the physical systems that sustain life. Once black communities control their own food, land, water, energy, and digital infrastructure, develop self-sustaining industries that do not rely on external forces, and create resilient networks that can withstand economic or social attacks, they will be permanently self-sufficient and immune to forced dependency. Control over land, energy, food and water has always been a tool of oppression. Black communities have historically been placed in geographically and economically vulnerable areas, with limited access to resources and infrastructure designed for containment rather than empowerment. From urban planning tactics that isolate black neighborhoods to food deserts and energy dependence, infrastructure has been used as a silent weapon of systemic oppression. The only way to break free from this control is to build parallel, self-sustaining systems that remove the need for reliance on external institutions. How physical suppression works. 1. Highway and utility placement as containment. Many black neighborhoods were deliberately built near highways, railroads, or industrial zones to limit expansion and economic growth. Infrastructure placement ensures that black communities remain dependent on external transit, food delivery, and utility systems. 2. Lack of food and water independence. Black communities are often placed in food deserts where access to fresh, healthy food is severely limited. Water supply control allows governments to selectively deny access. Flint, Michigan is a prime example. 3. Dependence on external energy sources. No ownership of power grids, solar farms, or water treatment facilities means that black communities are reliant on external providers who can inflate costs or cut off access. Power outages are disproportionately targeted in black neighborhoods during energy crises. 4. Policing and law enforcement as a control mechanism. Black neighborhoods are over-policed and surveilled to prevent autonomous development. Military-style police responses prevent grassroots organizing and infrastructure building efforts. Action plan building self-sufficient infrastructure. To break free from external infrastructure control, black communities must develop, own and maintain essential services that are resistant to outside interference. Step 1. Acquire land for sustainable living. Buy land through community trusts, cooperatives or private ownership to prevent external seizure. Develop intentional black communities that control housing, resources and industry. Implement agricultural zones to grow independent food supplies. Step 2. Develop community-based food and water systems. Build community-owned grocery stores stocked with black-grown produce. Utilize vertical farming, aquaponics and regenerative agriculture to provide year-round food security. Invest in water collection and purification systems to eliminate reliance on external suppliers. Step 3. Create decentralized energy solutions. Build solar and wind energy farms owned by black communities. Develop microgrids that provide power independent of external electric companies. Store excess energy for emergency situations to prevent blackout dependence. Step 4. Establish black-owned security networks. Train and develop self-defense and emergency response teams that protect black infrastructure. Create private security cooperatives to reduce police dependence while ensuring safety. Monitor and expose external threats such as law enforcement overreach, surveillance, and economic warfare. Step 5. Construct parallel infrastructure for healthcare and education. Develop community-run healthcare centers that focus on black health needs. Train black medical professionals to reduce reliance on racially biased healthcare systems. Build independent schools and educational programs to teach real history, financial literacy, and self-sufficiency. Long-term goal, black-controlled infrastructure. Key principle: whoever controls the infrastructure controls the future. The ultimate goal of this infrastructure sovereignty strategy is to eliminate dependency on oppressive systems and create an independent, thriving black ecosystem that produces its own food, water, and energy. Maintain security and law enforcement independent of external policing. Controls healthcare, education, and essential services. Is resilient to economic attacks, political instability, and external sabotage. By executing these tangible steps, black communities can reclaim their physical spaces and build a future free from systemic control. Thank you for joining us, and there is no need to like and subscribe when you are building your own freedom. Crisis response and contingency planning. Whenever black communities begin to build economic independence, control their own narratives, or develop infrastructure, they are often met with retaliation from external systems that seek to maintain control. History has shown that when black people move towards self-sufficiency, the state, corporations, and media react with economic retaliation. Financial attacks against black-owned businesses, including predatory loans, lawsuits, and sudden tax audits. Deplatforming and bank account closures to prevent black entrepreneurs from maintaining financial freedom. 2. digital suppression and shutdowns, censorship of black-led movements under false claims of misinformation or hate speech, takedowns of independent platforms that promote self-sufficiency and economic independence, internet blackouts during mass protests or uprisings. 3. State surveillance and infiltration, monitoring and targeting of black leaders under the guise of anti-terrorism, infiltration of movements by paid informants and COINTELPRO-style disruption tactics. 4. Media smear campaigns, black empowerment efforts labeled as radical or dangerous, false narratives spread by corporate media to turn the public against black self-determination. The only way to counter these predictable responses is to develop strategic crisis response plans that ensure the movement continues to grow, even in times of disruption. To protect against economic sabotage, digital suppression, and state retaliation, black communities must develop resilient systems that can function under pressure. Step 1. Build emergency financial reserves. Diversify assets. Convert some wealth into precious metals, cryptocurrency, and land to avoid sudden financial attacks. Develop peer-to-peer lending networks that function outside of banks. Create decentralized financial systems to prevent economic collapse during crises. Step 2. Establish secure off-grid communication. Use encrypted messaging services like Signal, Session, and Matrix for secure communication. Develop radio and mesh network systems that function even when the internet is shut down. Train communities on operational security or OPSEC to prevent surveillance. Step 3. Build independent food and medical supply chains. Develop community food storage systems to prevent starvation during supply chain disruptions. Stockpile essential medical supplies to ensure healthcare is available even if hospitals become inaccessible. Train community health workers to handle emergency medical situations. Step 4. Train for legal and cybersecurity protection. Educate black communities on legal rights and protections to counter wrongful arrests and police harassment. Develop cybersecurity protocols to protect online communications and financial assets. Create community-based legal defense teams to fight systemic injustice. Step 5. Organize decentralized response teams. Establish localized, leaderless cells that can operate independently in times of crisis. Train communities in survival skills, emergency response, and community defense. Develop rapid response networks to counter economic and social attacks in real time. Long-term goal crisis-proof black sovereignty. Key principle. A movement that can survive any crisis is a movement that cannot be stopped. The ultimate goal of this crisis response strategy is to ensure that black communities remain strong, independent, and resilient, no matter what forms of suppression arise. Financial systems that cannot be easily disrupted or frozen, secure censorship-proof communication networks, independent food, water, and healthcare systems, legal and digital security frameworks that protect black sovereignty, a decentralized movement that thrives even in times of instability. By executing these tangible steps, black communities can prepare for any crisis, ensuring that external forces can never break or dismantle the movement. Thank you for joining us. And there is no need to like and subscribe. When you are building your own free